In a small, unassuming town surrounded by lush green hills and whispering woods, an unusual idea began to take shape among a group of curious scientists. These weren't ordinary researchers. They were driven by a mix of fascination and determination to uncover secrets hidden beneath the surface, literally. Their goal was bold: to place a hidden camera inside a coffin and record what happened after burial. It wasn't just about documenting decomposition or studying how nature interacted with human remains. It was about pushing boundaries, challenging assumptions, and perhaps even answering questions that had lingered in humanity's collective consciousness for centuries. The project started with whispers over coffee and late-night brainstorming sessions, but soon grew into something far more ambitious. The team consisted of experts from various fields: biologists who specialized in microorganisms, forensic scientists familiar with post-mortem changes, and tech specialists skilled in designing equipment capable of surviving extreme conditions. Each member brought their own expertise to the table, but all shared one thing in common: an insatiable curiosity about life, death, and everything in between. They knew this experiment would be controversial, so they approached it carefully, ensuring every ethical guideline was followed. After months of planning, they finally found someone willing to participate: a man named Harold. He was terminally ill, and after much thought agreed to let his body become part of the study. For Harold, it wasn't just about contributing to science, it was about leaving behind a legacy, no matter how unconventional it might seem. Harold's decision weighed heavily on everyone involved. Though he was calm and resolute, the emotional toll on his family and friends was undeniable. Still, Harold believed deeply in the importance of understanding death better, not as an end, but as another chapter in existence. With his consent secured, the team turned its attention to preparing the coffin and the hidden camera system. This was no ordinary setup. The camera had to be small enough not to disturb the sanctity of the burial process, yet powerful enough to capture clear images in complete darkness. It needed to withstand moisture, pressure, and time buried underground. Countless tests were conducted, simulating conditions similar to those found in graves. Batteries were reinforced, lenses coated against dirt, and memory cards designed to store weeks' worth of footage without failing. Every detail mattered because failure meant losing not only data, but also respect for Harold's sacrifice. When the day of Harold's funeral arrived, emotions ran high. Friends and family gathered, under gray skies, sharing stories of laughter and love while trying to come to terms with saying goodbye. Unbeknownst to most attendees, however, the coffin being lowered into the ground carried more than just Harold's remains. It housed the hopes and hypotheses of a dedicated team of scientists. As mourners placed flowers atop the freshly dug grave, tears streaming down their faces, the researchers stood silently nearby, watching intently. Their hearts raced not just with sorrow, but also with anticipation. What would the camera reveal? Would it confirm existing theories about decomposition, or would it uncover something entirely unexpected? Once the ceremony ended and the crowd dispersed, the real work began. Back at their lab, the team huddled around monitors connected wirelessly to the hidden camera. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Footage showed Harold's body lying peacefully within the confines of the wooden box, surrounded by darkness. Hours passed, then days, as the natural processes of decay set. Tiny insects appeared almost immediately, crawling through cracks in the coffin lid, drawn by the scent of organic material breaking down. Maggots wriggled across the screen, feasting on soft tissue while bacteria worked silently below the surface. Roots from nearby plants crept closer, seeking nutrients released during decomposition. All of this aligned perfectly with what the scientists expected to see. But that was only the beginning. As the days stretched into weeks, peculiar anomalies began to appear in the recordings. Shadows moved where there should have been none, shifting subtly across the frame despite the absence of light sources. Faint sounds echoed intermittently, soft taps, rustles, and hums that couldn't easily be explained by soil settling or wind blowing above ground. Most startling of all, glowing orbs began to manifest near Harold's skeletal remains. These lights pulsed rhythmically, almost like heartbeats, casting eerie glows over the decaying remnants inside the coffin. Some members of the team dismissed these phenomena as tricks of the camera lens or reflections caused by moisture condensation. Others weren't so sure. Could these lights represent bioluminescent organisms thriving in the damp, oxygen-deprived environment? Or did they hint at something less tangible, something beyond the realm of current scientific understanding? News of the experiment leaked unexpectedly when a junior researcher accidentally shared snippets of the footage online. Within hours, the internet exploded with speculation. People around the world debated whether the glowing orbs were signs of supernatural activity or merely natural occurrences misunderstood due to lack of context. Paranormal enthusiasts seized upon the images as proof of an afterlife, pointing to ancient myths and legends about spirits lingering near grave sites. Skeptics argued that such interpretations ignored basic principles of biology and physics, insisting instead that the phenomena could likely be attributed to known natural processes observed under unique circumstances. Despite differing opinions, one thing became clear. The experiment had struck a nerve, sparking conversations about mortality, spirituality, and the limits of human knowledge. For the scientists, the sudden spotlight added pressure, but also renewed motivation. They pored over every frame of footage obsessively, analyzing patterns, cross-referencing data, and consulting experts in fields ranging from microbiology to quantum physics. While some findings supported conventional explanations, for instance, certain fungi emit faint glows in dark environments, other aspects remained stubbornly elusive. The rhythmic pulsing of the orbs defied easy categorization, as did the inexplicable movements captured on camera. Was it possible that undiscovered forms of energy existed, interacting with matter in ways humanity hadn't yet grasped? Or were these simply artifacts of perception, illusions created by the interplay of technology and environment? The questions multiplied faster than answers could be found. Through it all, Harold's story continued to resonate deeply. His willingness to contribute to science, even in death, inspired countless others to reflect on their own mortality and consider how they might leave meaningful legacies. Conversations shifted from fear of dying to wonder about what lay beyond. Documentaries chronicled the experiment, books explored its implications, and classrooms discussed its findings. Yet amidst the global fascination, the scientists remained humble, aware that their work represented only a single step toward unraveling mysteries that spanned millennia. For them, the true significance of the project lay not in definitive conclusions, but in the journey itself, the pursuit of truth, however uncomfortable or uncertain it might prove to be. Even now, years later, the footage continues to captivate audiences. It serves as both a reminder of humanity's fragility and a testament to its boundless curiosity. Whether viewed through the lens of science or spirituality, the images evoke awe and introspection. They challenge viewers to confront the unknown, with open minds and brave hearts, just as Harold did when he made the ultimate sacrifice. And though the camera has long since stopped recording, its impact endures, a beacon shining brightly in the darkness, urging us to keep asking questions, keep seeking answers, and never stop exploring the vast, mysterious tapestry of existence. The initial days after Harold's burial passed quietly, both above and below ground. The scientists monitored the footage with bated breath, their eyes glued to screens displaying grainy images from the hidden camera. At first glance, everything seemed predictable, natural processes unfolding as expected. Tiny insects began infiltrating the coffin almost immediately, squeezing through gaps in the woodwork or crawling along seams. They moved with purpose, sensing the presence of organic material ripe for consumption. Maggots soon followed, squirming across Harold's body as they began their work. These wriggling creatures were nature's cleanup crew, breaking down flesh into simpler compounds that would eventually nourish the soil. To the researchers, this was familiar territory, a textbook example of decomposition in action. But alongside these expected developments came subtle hints of something unusual. Shadows danced across the frame at odd intervals, shifting shapes, despite the absence of light sources. The team initially dismissed these movements as artifacts caused by moisture condensation on the camera lens or minor disturbances in the coffin lid. However, as the days stretched into weeks, the anomalies grew harder to ignore. Faint sounds began to accompany the visual distortions, soft taps, rustles, and low hums that echoed eerily within the confined space. These noises didn't align with typical environmental factors like soil settling or groundwater seepage. Instead, they suggested activity occurring directly around the coffin, raising questions the scientists couldn't easily answer. Was it possible that animals or larger organisms had discovered the grave? Or were these signs pointing toward something far stranger? The most shocking discovery came during the third week of monitoring. Late one night, while reviewing recent footage, one of the researchers froze the screen mid-playback. There, hovering near Harold's skeletal remains, were glowing orbs, ethereal spheres of light that pulsed rhythmically, almost like heartbeats. Their appearance defied explanation. Some orbs hovered motionless, casting faint halos over the decaying bones, while others drifted lazily through the air before vanishing without a trace. The team watched in stunned silence, replaying the clip multiple times to ensure it wasn't a glitch or optical illusion. Each viewing confirmed what they'd seen. These lights were real, and they behaved unlike anything documented in scientific literature. Speculation ran wild among the group. Could the glowing orbs be bioluminescent fungi or bacteria thriving in the damp, oxygen-deprived environment of the grave? Certain species of microorganisms emitted faint glows under specific conditions, but none matched the intensity or behavior captured on camera. Another theory proposed that the lights might result from chemical reactions between minerals in the soil and gases released during decomposition. Yet no known reaction could produce rhythmic pulsations or movement patterns consistent with what the footage revealed. As discussions intensified, some members hesitantly raised the possibility of paranormal activity, a suggestion met with skepticism, but not outright dismissal. Ancient folklore often spoke of spirits lingering near grave sites, guarding the transition between life and death. Could there be truth to such tales buried beneath layers of myth and superstition? While the team grappled with these questions, news of the experiment leaked unexpectedly. A junior researcher, overwhelmed by curiosity and perhaps a touch of pride, uploaded a brief clip of the glowing orbs to an online forum dedicated to fringe science topics. Within hours, the video went viral, sparking heated debates across social media platforms. Paranormal enthusiasts seized upon the footage as irrefutable proof of an afterlife, citing religious texts and spiritual beliefs to support their claims. Skeptics countered with logical explanations, arguing that the lights could stem from natural phenomena misunderstood due to lack of context. Regardless of interpretation, the clip ignited widespread fascination, drawing millions of views and countless comments from people eager to share their thoughts. As public interest surged, so did scrutiny. Journalists reached out to the research team, seeking interviews and exclusive access to the full footage. News outlets published sensational headlines, framing the experiment as either groundbreaking science or reckless pseudoscience, depending on their editorial stance. For the scientists, this sudden attention brought mixed feelings. On one hand, it validated their efforts, proving that humanity remained deeply intrigued by mysteries surrounding death. On the other hand, it amplified pressure to provide definitive answers, a task made nearly impossible given the complexity of the findings. Despite mounting demands, the team resolved to remain cautious, refusing to jump to conclusions without thorough analysis. Back in the lab, the researchers redoubled their efforts to make sense of the data. They consulted experts in fields ranging from microbiology to quantum physics, hoping to find parallels or insights that could shed light on the anomalies. One promising lead involved mycelium networks, vast underground systems formed by fungi that communicated using electrical signals. Could these networks generate visible pulses of light under certain conditions? Another avenue explored the role of piezoelectric materials, which generated electricity when subjected to mechanical stress. If minerals in the soil reacted to pressure, changes caused by shifting earth, could they produce luminescence resembling the orbs? While intriguing, neither hypothesis fully accounted for the rhythmic pulsations or coordinated movements observed in the footage. Amidst the chaos, Harold's Story took on new significance. His decision to participate in the study became a focal point for discussions about legacy and sacrifice. People admired his courage, not just in facing death, but in embracing uncertainty, trusting that his contribution might pave the way for greater understanding. Documentaries highlighted his life, portraying him as both a reluctant hero and a symbol of hope. Books delved into philosophical implications, questioning whether humanity's fear of mortality stemmed from ignorance rather than inevitability. Classrooms debated ethical considerations, weighing the value of scientific progress against potential risks associated with tampering with sacred traditions. Through it all, Harold's name remained synonymous with curiosity, resilience, and the pursuit of truth. For the scientists, the experiment transcended its original objectives. What began as a quest to document post-mortem processes evolved into a broader exploration of human existence itself. Every unanswered question opened doors to new possibilities, challenging preconceived notions and expanding horizons. Even as they struggled to explain the glowing orbs and unexplained sounds, the team found solace in the journey. Science, they realized, wasn't about arriving at final destinations. It was about embracing ambiguity, celebrating discovery, and acknowledging the limits of knowledge. In this spirit, they continued analyzing the footage, determined to push boundaries even if ultimate clarity remained elusive. Years later, the impact of the project lingered, resonating far beyond academic circles. Footage from the hidden camera inspired art installations, poetry collections, and musical compositions, each interpreting the mystery in unique ways. Philosophers pondered existential questions raised by the findings, while theologians revisited age-old doctrines in search of alignment with modern perspectives. For many, the experiment served as a catalyst for introspection, prompting individuals to confront their own fears and aspirations. Whether viewed through the lens of science, spirituality, or pure wonder, the images captured inside Harold's coffin evoked profound emotions: awe, humility, and an insatiable desire to explore the unknown. Even today, the debate continues. Are the glowing orbs evidence of undiscovered natural phenomena, glimpses into another realm, or simply artifacts of perception distorted by technology and environment? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between, or perhaps it doesn't exist at all. What matters most is the conversation sparked by the experiment, the collective effort to grapple with life's greatest enigma. Harold's legacy endures not because he provided concrete answers, but because he dared to ask difficult questions. And in doing so, he reminded humanity of its shared mission: to seek, to wonder, and to embrace the beauty of uncertainty. As weeks turned into months, the footage from Harold's coffin continued to baffle the research team. The glowing orbs remained the centerpiece of their investigation, but they weren't alone in captivating the scientists' attention. Other phenomena began to emerge, each more perplexing than the last. For instance, there were moments when the camera captured what appeared to be faint outlines of shapes, human-like figures standing near Harold's remains before dissolving into nothingness. These apparitions lasted only seconds, yet they left an indelible mark on those who witnessed them. Some researchers argued that these could be tricks of light or reflections caused by moisture buildup inside the coffin, while others speculated about the possibility of residual energy imprints, a concept often discussed in paranormal circles. The debate within the team grew heated at times, with emotions running high as everyone grappled with their own interpretations. Dr. Emily Carter, the lead biologist on the project, leaned toward natural explanations, insisting that every anomaly could eventually be attributed to known processes if given enough time and resources. Her counterpart, Dr. Marcus Reed, a physicist fascinated by fringe theories, found himself drawn to less conventional possibilities. He suggested that the coffin might have inadvertently become a conduit for energies not yet understood by science, an accidental experiment in quantum mechanics or even interdimensional interaction. Their differing perspectives created tension but also fueled collaboration, pushing the group to explore avenues they might otherwise have dismissed. Meanwhile, public fascination with the experiment showed no signs of waning. Social media buzzed, with theories ranging from plausible to outlandish. Conspiracy theorists claimed the glowing orbs were evidence of government experiments gone awry, while spiritual leaders proclaimed them proof of divine intervention. Online forums dedicated to paranormal activity exploded with activity, as users dissected every frame of leaked footage, searching for hidden symbols or messages. Mainstream news outlets struggled to balance sensationalism with responsible reporting, often inviting experts onto talk shows to weigh in on the findings. This constant exposure put immense pressure on the research team, who now felt compelled to deliver answers quickly, a task made nearly impossible by the complexity of the data. To address growing demands, the team decided to release periodics, updates, sharing snippets of new discoveries alongside cautious disclaimers. In one such update, they revealed footage showing plant roots behaving unusually. Instead of spreading randomly through the soil, the roots seemed to grow directly toward Harold's coffin, intertwining around its edges as though guided by some invisible force. This behavior contradicted established botanical principles, which stated that root growth was primarily influenced by gravity, water availability, and nutrient distribution. Could it be that decomposing matter emitted signals attracting vegetation, or was something else at play, something beyond current scientific understanding? Another revelation came when audio analysis detected patterns in the mysterious sounds recorded underground. At first glance, the taps and hums appeared random, but closer examination revealed rhythmic sequences akin to Morse code. The team spent countless hours attempting to decode these patterns, hypothesizing that they might represent communication between microorganisms or even geological shifts occurring deep beneath the surface. While no definitive translation emerged, the mere suggestion of structured sound added another layer of intrigue to the unfolding mystery. It also reignited discussions about whether non-human entities, whether microbial, mineral, or metaphysical, could possess forms of intelligence previously unrecognized by humanity. Amidst all this, Harold's story took on mythic proportions. People around the world began referring to him not just as a participant in a scientific study, but as a pioneer exploring the boundaries of life and death. Memorials popped up in unexpected places, with strangers leaving flowers and notes expressing gratitude for his bravery. Artists depicted him in murals and sculptures, often surrounded by glowing orbs or ethereal figures inspired by the footage. His name became synonymous with courage, curiosity, and selflessness, a reminder that even in death, individuals could leave lasting legacies. For those closest to Harold, however, the adulation brought mixed feelings. His family appreciated the recognition but missed having him around. His absence loomed large, especially during holidays and milestones he would never witness. Back in the lab, the researchers faced mounting challenges. Equipment failures forced them to improvise solutions, repairing damaged cameras and replacing faulty batteries under tight deadlines. Funding dried up as sponsors grew wary of associating with an increasingly controversial project. Yet despite these obstacles, the team persevered, driven by a shared belief in the importance of their work. They knew they couldn't answer every question raised by the footage, but they hoped to lay groundwork for future investigations. Each discovery, no matter how small, brought them closer to understanding the intricate web connecting life, death, and everything in between. One breakthrough came unexpectedly when a visiting mycologist identified traces of a rare fungus in soil samples taken near Harold's grave. This particular species, known for its bioluminescent properties, had never been documented in the region before. Could it explain the glowing orbs? Further testing suggested partial overlap. The fungus emitted faint glows under controlled conditions, but failed to replicate the intensity or movement patterns observed in the footage. Still, the finding provided valuable insight, highlighting how interconnected ecosystems operated in ways still largely unknown to humanity. It also underscored the importance of interdisciplinary approaches, encouraging the team to collaborate with experts outside traditional scientific domains. As the project entered its final phase, the researchers reflected on lessons learned, not just about decomposition or anomalies, but about themselves and their place in the universe. They realized that true progress required humility, acknowledging limits while striving to push beyond them. Every unanswered question served as a reminder of how much remained undiscovered, fueling their passion for exploration. Even disagreements within the team proved beneficial, fostering critical thinking and innovation. Through it all, Harold's spirit lingered, guiding their efforts and inspiring them to embrace uncertainty rather than fear it. When the official report was finally published, it received widespread acclaim, not because it offered definitive answers, but because it celebrated the journey itself. Richly illustrated with images from the footage and accompanied by detailed analyses, the document became a testament to human curiosity and resilience. Readers marveled at descriptions of glowing orbs, rhythmic sounds, and sentient roots, each detail weaving together a narrative both scientific and poetic. Critics praised the team's transparency, noting how openly they addressed gaps in knowledge without resorting to speculation. Supporters hailed the project as a triumph of interdisciplinary collaboration, bridging divides between fields often seen as incompatible. Even after publication, the experiment's legacy endured. Educators incorporated case studies into curricula, challenging students to think critically about ethics, methodology, and interpretation. Filmmakers adapted the story into documentaries and feature films, bringing Harold's journey to wider audiences. Spiritual leaders referenced the findings in sermons, framing them as reminders of life's mysteries and humanity's responsibility to approach them with reverence. Scientists built upon the groundwork laid by the team, launching follow-up projects aimed at replicating results or uncovering new insights. Though none matched the original study's scope or impact, each contributed to a growing body of knowledge reshaping perceptions of death and beyond. Today, the footage remains accessible online, preserved as a digital artifact inviting reflection and wonder. Viewers continue to analyze frames, propose theories, and share personal interpretations shaped by cultural backgrounds and individual beliefs. Whether viewed through lenses of faith, reason, or imagination, the images resonate deeply, evoking emotions that transcend language and geography. They remind us of our shared humanity, the innate desire to understand where we come from, why we exist, and what awaits us after we're gone. And at the heart of it all lies Harold, whose quiet act of bravery sparked a global conversation about life's greatest mystery. As the experiment progressed, the researchers found themselves grappling with not only the scientific challenges, but also the emotional weight of their work. The glowing orbs, rhythmic sounds, and unusual root growth patterns continued to dominate. Discussions yet beneath these phenomena lay a deeper question. What did it all mean? For Dr. Emily Carter, the lead biologist, the focus remained on finding natural explanations. She spent countless nights poring over textbooks and consulting experts in obscure fields like mycology, geophysics, and microbial communication. Her determination was unwavering, driven by a belief that every mystery could eventually be unraveled through rigorous investigation. Yet, despite her efforts, some aspects of the footage defied conventional understanding, leaving her frustrated and occasionally questioning her own convictions. Dr. Marcus Reed, on the other hand, embraced the ambiguity. A physicist by training, he had always been fascinated by the boundaries of human knowledge, the edges where science met philosophy, spirituality, and even fiction. To him, the anomalies captured inside Harold's coffin weren't just puzzles waiting to be solved. They were invitations to rethink everything humanity thought it knew about life, death, and the universe itself. He often stayed late in the lab, running simulations and testing hypotheses that bordered on speculative. One evening, while analyzing the rhythmic sounds detected in the audio recordings, he stumbled upon an intriguing pattern. When plotted, visually, the sequences resembled waveforms similar to those produced by brain activity during deep meditation or near-death experiences. Could it be, he wondered, that the Earth itself, or perhaps something within it, was attempting to communicate? The idea seemed far-fetched even to Marcus, but it sparked a new line of inquiry. What if the coffin hadn't merely served as a vessel for decomposition, but had somehow acted as a conduit for energies or signals beyond human perception? This notion aligned loosely with theories about ley lines, hypothetical alignments of landforms believed by some to channel mystical forces. While mainstream science dismissed such ideas as pseudoscience, Marcus couldn't ignore the parallels. He proposed setting up additional sensors around Harold's grave to detect electromagnetic fluctuations, temperature changes, or other environmental anomalies. Though skeptical, the rest of the team agreed to proceed, recognizing the value of exploring unconventional avenues. Meanwhile, public interest in the project reached fever pitch. Social media platforms buzzed with debates, memes, and fan art, inspired by the glowing orbs and ethereal figures. Online communities dedicated to paranormal research dissected every detail of the leaked footage, crafting elaborate narratives that ranged from alien visitations to time travel experiments gone wrong. Mainstream news outlets struggled to keep pace, oscillating between sensationalism and skepticism. Talk show hosts invited psychics, spiritual leaders, and conspiracy theorists to weigh in alongside scientists, creating a cacophony of conflicting viewpoints. Amidst the chaos, one thing became clear. The experiment had tapped into something primal, a collective yearning to understand mortality and the unknown. This global fascination placed immense pressure on the research team. Requests for interviews poured in daily, forcing them to navigate a delicate balance between transparency and caution. They worried about misinterpretation, knowing how easily complex findings could be distorted in the court of public opinion. To address this, they decided to host a live-streamed Q&A session, allowing people worldwide to ask questions directly. The event drew millions of viewers, many of whom expressed gratitude for the team's willingness to share their journey openly. Others criticized the lack of definitive answers, accusing the scientists of withholding information or exaggerating results for attention. Despite the mixed reactions, the session fostered a sense of connection, reminding everyone involved that the quest for truth transcended individual agendas. Back in the lab, the team faced mounting technical difficulties. Equipment malfunctions became frequent, exacerbated by the harsh conditions underground. Cameras suffered from condensation buildup, batteries drained faster than anticipated, and wireless connections faltered intermittently. Each setback required creative problem-solving, often involving makeshift repairs using whatever materials were available. Funding shortages added another layer of stress, prompting the researchers to seek alternative sources of support. Crowdfunding. Campaigns launched online garnered modest success, fueled by donations from curious citizens eager to contribute to the groundbreaking study. These contributions, though small, provided much-needed resources and reinforced the team's resolve to see the project through. One breakthrough came unexpectedly, when a visiting archaeologist suggested examining historical records related to burial practices in the region. Ancient civilizations, she explained, often buried their dead with specific rituals designed to honor spirits or guide souls to the afterlife. Some cultures even placed objects like crystals, metals, or herbs inside coffins, believing these items could facilitate communication between realms. Intrigued, the team reviewed soil samples taken near Harold's grave and discovered traces of minerals uncommon to the area. Could these substances have interacted with decomposing matter or surrounding ecosystems in ways that amplified the observed phenomena? Further analysis hinted at possibilities but failed to provide conclusive evidence. Another revelation emerged when the team revisited earlier footage, paying closer attention to subtle details previously overlooked. They noticed that the glowing orbs appeared more frequently during certain phases of the moon, suggesting a potential link to lunar cycles. Similarly, the rhythmic sounds seemed to intensify after rainfall, raising questions about water's role in triggering or enhancing the anomalies. These observations prompted collaborations with meteorologists and astrologers, blending hard science with softer disciplines in search of holistic explanations. While some colleagues viewed these partnerships skeptically, others welcomed the opportunity to explore intersections between seemingly unrelated fields. Throughout this process, Harold's presence loomed large, not just as a participant, but as a symbol of humanity's shared journey. His decision to contribute to science resonated deeply with people across cultural, religious, and ideological divides. Memorials dedicated to him sprang up in unexpected places, from quiet parks to bustling city squares. Artists depicted him in murals, sculptures, and digital art, often surrounded by glowing orbs or ethereal figures inspired by the footage. Writers penned essays and poems reflecting on themes of legacy, sacrifice, and the enduring quest for meaning. For many, Harold represented courage, a willingness to step into the unknown and trust that his actions might illuminate paths forward for others. As the project neared its conclusion, the researchers reflected on lessons learned, not just about decomposition or anomalies, but about themselves and their place in the world. They realized that true progress required humility, acknowledging limits while striving to push beyond them. Every unanswered question served as a reminder of how much remained undiscovered, fueling their passion for exploration. Even disagreements within the team proved beneficial, fostering critical thinking and innovation. Through it all, Harold's spirit lingered, guiding their efforts and inspiring them to embrace uncertainty rather than fear it. When the final report was published, it received widespread acclaim, not because it offered definitive answers, but because it celebrated the real journey itself. Richly illustrated with images from the footage and accompanied by detailed analyses, the document became a testament to human curiosity and resilience. Readers marveled at descriptions of glowing orbs, rhythmic sounds, and sentient roots, each detail weaving together a narrative both scientific and poetic. Critics praised the team's transparency, noting how openly they addressed gaps in knowledge without resorting to speculation. Supporters hailed the project as a triumph of interdisciplinary collaboration, bridging divides between fields often seen as incompatible. Even after publication, the experiment's legacy endured. Educators incorporated case studies into curricula, challenging students to think critically about ethics, methodology, and interpretation. Filmmakers adapted the story into documentaries and feature films, bringing Harold's journey to wider audiences. Spiritual leaders referenced the findings in sermons, framing them as reminders of life's mysteries and humanity's responsibility to approach them with reverence. Scientists built upon the groundwork laid by the team, launching follow-up projects aimed at replicating results or uncovering new insights. Though none matched the original study's scope or impact, each contributed to a growing body of knowledge reshaping perceptions of death and beyond. Today, the footage remains accessible online, preserved as a digital artifact inviting reflection and wonder. Viewers continue to analyze frames, propose theories, and share personal interpretations shaped by cultural backgrounds and individual beliefs. Whether viewed through lenses of faith, reason, or imagination, the images resonate deeply, evoking emotions that transcend language and geography. They remind us of our shared humanity, the innate desire to understand where we come from, why we exist, and what awaits us after we're gone. And at the heart of it all lies Harold, whose quiet act of bravery sparked a global converse as the project entered its final stages. The researchers faced a dilemma that went beyond scientific inquiry. The yatai, glowing orbs, rhythmic sounds, and strange root behaviors had captivated not only the team, but also millions around the world. Yet despite their best efforts, many questions remained unanswered. What exactly were these phenomena? Were they natural occurrences misunderstood due to lack of context? Or did they hint at something far more profound, something humanity wasn't yet ready to comprehend? The weight of expectation hung heavy over the team, as people from all walks of life looked to them for clarity. But clarity was elusive, and the researchers knew they couldn't force conclusions where none existed. Dr. Emily Carter spent long nights in the lab, her mind racing with possibilities. She revisited every frame of footage, analyzing patterns, and cross-referencing data with existing studies on decomposition, bioluminescence, and soil ecology. Her meticulous approach yielded some insights. For instance, she confirmed that certain fungi present in the soil emitted faint glows under specific conditions, but this didn't fully explain the intensity or movement of the glowing orbs. Frustrated yet undeterred, Emily began exploring less conventional theories, consulting experts in fields like quantum biology and even paranormal research. Though skeptical of supernatural explanations, she recognized the importance of leaving no stone unturned. After all, science thrived on challenging assumptions, and sometimes breakthroughs came from unexpected places. Dr. Marcus Reed, meanwhile, dove deeper into his hypothesis about communication. He became increasingly convinced that the rhythmic sounds and pulsating lights weren't random, but deliberate, a form of interaction occurring at frequencies humans couldn't easily perceive. Drawing inspiration from studies on animal echolocation and plant signaling, he proposed that the coffin might have inadvertently created an environment conducive to such exchanges. Perhaps decomposing matter released chemicals or vibrations that resonated with nearby organisms, creating feedback loops detectable by sensitive equipment. To test this idea, Marcus designed experiments using artificial replicas of Harold's coffin, burying them in different locations to see if similar phenomena occurred. Early results showed promise, though nothing matched the complexity of what had been captured in the original footage. Public fascination with the experiment showed no signs of waning. Online forums buzzed with activity as users dissected every new revelation shared by the team. Some enthusiasts claimed to have decoded hidden messages in the rhythmic sounds, while others speculated about connections between the glowing orbs and ancient myths about spirits guarding grave sites. Conspiracy theorists argued that the government or shadowy organizations were secretly monitoring the project, hoping to harness whatever energies or technologies it uncovered. Amidst the noise, however, there were moments of genuine insight. A high school student in Japan used mathematical models to analyze the waveforms of the sounds, proposing a potential link to fractal geometry. An elderly farmer in rural England shared stories passed down through generations about earth lights appearing near burial grounds during harvest moons. These contributions reminded the researchers that curiosity transcended age, education, or geography. The emotional toll on the team grew heavier as time passed. Each unanswered question felt like a failure, even though they understood the limitations of their tools and knowledge. Late-night conversations often turned philosophical, with members reflecting on their motivations and fears. For some, the experiment had become deeply personal, forcing them to confront their own mortality and beliefs about life after death. Others worried about how history would judge their work. Would they be remembered as pioneers pushing the boundaries of science, or as reckless dreamers chasing ghosts? Despite these doubts, they found solace in their shared mission and in the memory of Harold, whose courage inspired them to keep going. One evening, as the team reviewed footage from the final weeks of recording, they noticed something extraordinary. The glowing orbs, which had appeared sporadically throughout the experiment, now seemed to gather in clusters, forming intricate patterns that resembled constellations. These formations lasted only seconds before dissolving, but their symmetry and precision left everyone awestruck. Could it be mere coincidence, or was there intention behind their arrangement? Dr. Carter suggested testing whether electromagnetic fields generated by minerals in the soil could influence light emissions in predictable ways. Dr. Reed countered that the patterns might represent attempts at communication, akin to visual languages used by some marine animals. Both ideas warranted further investigation, adding another layer of complexity to the already daunting task ahead. Amidst the chaos, Harold's legacy continued to grow. His story inspired countless acts of kindness and reflection worldwide. In small towns and big cities alike, people organized events to honor his memory, planting trees, hosting discussions about mortality, and raising funds for hospice care programs. Memorials dedicated to him became gathering places, fostering connections among strangers united by a desire to make sense of life's mysteries. Artists incorporated elements of the experiment into their work, creating pieces that blended science and spirituality in thought-provoking ways. Writers penned novels and plays imagining alternate versions of Harold's journey, each interpretation offering fresh perspectives on themes of sacrifice, curiosity, and hope. Back in the lab, the researchers prepared for the project's official conclusion. They compiled their findings into a comprehensive report, detailing every observation, hypothesis, and unanswered question. The document included high-resolution images from the footage, graphs illustrating sound wave patterns, and detailed analyses of soil samples. It also featured reflections from team members, sharing their thoughts on the experiment's impact, not just scientifically but personally. This blend of rigor and vulnerability aimed to humanize the process, reminding readers that science was as much about wonder and humility as it was about facts and figures. When the report was finally released, reactions varied widely. Academics praised its thoroughness and transparency, noting how openly the team acknowledged gaps in understanding. Journalists highlighted the project's interdisciplinary nature, framing it as a model for future collaborations. Spiritual leaders embraced its openness to mystery, seeing parallels between the researchers' quest and humanity's eternal search for meaning. Skeptics criticized the lack of definitive answers, accusing the team of overhyping inconclusive results. Yet, regardless of opinion, one thing was undeniable. The experiment had sparked conversations that transcended disciplines, cultures, and belief systems. In the months following publication, the project's influence rippled outward. Educators incorporated case studies into curricula, encouraging students to think critically about ethics, methodology, and interpretation. Filmmakers adapted the story into documentaries and feature films, bringing Harold's journey to wider audiences. Scientists launched follow-up projects, building on the groundwork laid by the team. One group focused on replicating the glowing orb phenomenon using controlled environments, while another explored the potential role of mycelium networks in facilitating underground communication. Though none achieved the same level of intrigue as the original study, each effort contributed to a growing body of knowledge reshaping perceptions of life, death, and everything in between. Even today, the footage remains accessible online, preserved as a digital artifact inviting reflection and wonder. Viewers continue to analyze frames, propose theories, and share personal interpretations shaped by cultural backgrounds and individual beliefs. Whether viewed through lenses of faith, reason, or imagination, the images resonate deeply, evoking emotions that transcend language and geography. They remind us of our shared humanity, the innate desire to understand where we come from, why we exist, and what awaits us after we're gone. And at the heart of it all lies Harold, whose quiet act of bravery sparked a global conversation about life's greatest mystery. For the researchers, the experiment marked both an ending and a beginning. Though they may never fully unravel the secrets hidden within Harold's coffin, they emerged transformed by the journey. Their work taught them the value of curiosity, collaboration, and resilience in the face of uncertainty. It reminded them that science wasn't about arriving at final destinations, but about embracing ambiguity and celebrating discovery. As they moved forward, carrying lessons learned into new projects and pursuits, they carried Harold's spirit with them, a beacon shining brightly in the darkness, urging them to keep asking questions, keep seeking answers, and never stop exploring the vast, mysterious tapestry of existence. The final chapter of the experiment unfolded not with definitive answers, but with a profound sense of reflection. The glowing orbs, rhythmic sounds, and mysterious root patterns had become more than just anomalies. They were symbols of humanity's enduring quest for understanding. As the researchers packed up their equipment and archived the footage, they couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and humility. They had embarked on this journey hoping to document the natural processes of decomposition, yet what they uncovered transcended science itself. It was as if Harold's coffin had opened a door to questions that humanity had been asking since the dawn of time. What happens after we die? Is there something beyond the physical world? And how do we find meaning? In the face of mortality, Dr. Emily Carter, who had initially approached the project with unwavering skepticism, found herself grappling with emotions she hadn't anticipated. She had always believed in the power of logic and evidence, yet the phenomena captured by the hidden camera challenged her worldview in ways she couldn't ignore. Sitting alone in the lab one evening, she replayed the footage showing the glowing orbs forming intricate constellations. There was a beauty to it, a symmetry that felt almost intentional. Could it be mere coincidence? Or was there some deeper order at play? For the first time, Emily allowed herself to entertain the possibility that not everything could be explained through traditional scientific frameworks. Perhaps, she thought, there were truths about existence that lay beyond human comprehension, waiting patiently for future generations to uncover. Dr. Marcus Reed, ever the dreamer, saw the experiment as validation of his belief in the interconnectedness of all things. To him, the coffin wasn't just a vessel for Harold's remains. It was a microcosm of the universe itself, a space where matter, energy, and consciousness converged in ways both visible and invisible. He often spoke of the glowing orbs as messengers, carriers of information from realms humans couldn't perceive. While he knew his theories bordered on speculative, he took comfort in the idea that science was built on daring to imagine possibilities outside conventional boundaries. In quiet moments, Marcus would stare at the stars, wondering if the patterns formed by the orbs mirrored celestial constellations above. If so, he mused, then perhaps death wasn't an end but a transformation, a transition into another state of being. Public interest in the project showed no signs of fading, even months after its conclusion. Social media remained ablaze with discussions, fan art, and theories inspired by the footage. Some interpreted the glowing orbs as spirits guiding Harold's soul to the afterlife, while others saw them as manifestations of universal energy drawn to the act of returning life to the earth. Debates raged on forums dedicated to paranormal research, with users dissecting every frame for hidden clues. Mainstream news outlets continued to cover developments, highlighting follow-up experiments and interviews with experts across various fields. The story had taken on a life of its own, becoming a cultural touchstone that bridged science, spirituality, and philosophy. For Harold's family, the global fascination brought bittersweet feelings. On one hand, they were proud of the legacy he had left behind, a legacy rooted in courage, curiosity, and selflessness. His decision to participate in the study had sparked conversations about mortality and legacy that resonated deeply with people around the world. Memorials dedicated to him became places of pilgrimage, drawing visitors eager to pay their respects and reflect on their own lives. Artists painted murals depicting Harold surrounded by glowing orbs, capturing his essence as both a man and a symbol of hope. Writers penned essays exploring themes of sacrifice and the unknown, using his story as a lens through which to examine humanity's shared journey. Yet for those closest to Harold, the adulation sometimes felt hollow. His absence loomed large, especially during milestones like birthdays and holidays. His wife, Margaret, often visited his grave, sitting quietly among the flowers left by strangers. She didn't need glowing orbs or rhythmic sounds to know that Harold's spirit lived on. In the laughter of their grandchildren, in the stories shared by friends, and in the countless lives touched by his decision to contribute to science. For Margaret, Harold's true legacy wasn't the mystery surrounding his coffin, but the love and kindness he embodied throughout his life. Back in the lab, the researchers faced the daunting task of moving forward without clear resolution. Funding for the project had dried up, forcing them to dismantle equipment and reallocate resources. Yet despite the challenges, they remained committed to continuing their work. Dr. Carter began collaborating with biologists studying extremophiles, organisms capable of surviving in harsh environments, to explore whether similar species might exist underground. Dr. Reed partnered with physicists investigating quantum entanglement, hoping to draw parallels between subatomic interactions and the phenomena observed in the coffin. Each new avenue of inquiry reminded them that science was a process, not a destination, a winding path filled with twists and turns. One breakthrough came unexpectedly when a team of archaeologists reached out, sharing findings from ancient burial sites. They described artifacts buried alongside the dead, crystals, metals, and herbs, believed to facilitate communication between realms. Intrigued, the researchers revisited soil samples taken near Harold's grave and discovered traces of minerals uncommon to the region. Could these substances have interacted with decomposing matter or surrounding ecosystems in ways that amplified the observed phenomena? Further analysis hinted at possibilities but failed to provide conclusive evidence. Still, the discovery reinforced the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration, encouraging the team to explore intersections between seemingly unrelated fields. As years passed, the experiment's impact rippled outward, influencing disciplines far beyond its original scope. Educators incorporated case studies into curricula, challenging students to think critically about ethics, methodology, and interpretation. Filmmakers adapted the story into documentaries and feature films, bringing Harold's journey to wider audiences. Spiritual leaders referenced the findings in sermons, framing them as reminders of life's mysteries and humanity's responsibility to approach them with reverence. Scientists built upon the groundwork laid by the team, launching follow-up projects aimed at replicating results or uncovering new insights. Though none matched the original study's scope or intrigue, each effort contributed to a growing body of knowledge reshaping perceptions of death and beyond. Even today, the footage remains accessible online, preserved as a digital artifact, inviting reflection and wonder. Viewers continue to analyze frames, propose theories, and share personal interpretations shaped by cultural backgrounds and individual beliefs. Whether viewed through lenses of faith, reason, or imagination, the images resonate deeply, evoking emotions that transcend language and geography. They remind us of our shared humanity, the innate desire to understand where we come from, why we exist, and what awaits us after we're gone. And at the heart of it all lies Harold, whose quiet act of bravery sparked a global conversation about life's greatest mystery. For the researchers, the experiment marked both an ending and a beginning. Though they may never fully unravel the secrets hidden within Harold's coffin, they emerged transformed by the journey. Their work taught them the value of curiosity, collaboration, and resilience in the face of uncertainty. It reminded them that science wasn't about arriving at final destinations, but about embracing ambiguity and celebrating discovery. As they moved forward, carrying lessons learned into new projects and pursuits, they carried Harold's spirit with them, a beacon shining brightly in the darkness, urging them to keep asking questions, keep seeking answers, and never stop exploring the vast, mysterious tapestry of existence.